wanted to go over some issues that I found on my refrigerator. This is kind of a classic troubleshooting issue. A lot of times you'll get into a system like this and you'll see a board. And at first glance it looks pretty complicated. Unless you have a degree in electronics, you probably don't know what a lot of these things are. But in some cases you can get lucky. In the case of this particular board, there's a couple things that basically just stand right out. The first thing, and I've had to do this before, this is the second time I repaired this board. These little capacitors, they burned out the last time about 5 years ago and I had to replace them. Luckily I could find them at Radio Shack, and I think I spent around $2.50 for the two of them. No problem. In this case, the refrigerator started doing the same thing. Take a look at the top of this board. You can see that these two capacitors, this one is nice and flush, and this one is protruding. This is a common failure item for this type of electrolytic capacitor. So I ordered two of these. I think they cost me around $4 shipped, but it took me about a week to get them, and in this entire time I had to pull this out of the refrigerator, so the refrigerator is dead. We had to pull everything out of the refrigerator to keep it from being destroyed. But it's kind of an inconvenience. By the way, this is a GE profile refrigerator, and we've had several problems with it, but it mostly boils down to this board. I found this board for about $140 on eBay. And if you don't want to go through here and mess with electronics, this is probably the best bet. What happened with this particular refrigerator is the ice maker, when we hit the button, it basically, there was a delay, the light would blink, and it just started acting funny. And then a couple weeks later, it just basically died. And we lost all of our food. So when it happened again this time, I knew better, and immediately we took everything out. So we didn't lose anything. But if you call out a service technician, I would be willing to bet, unless you're under some type of warranty, that the service call, including this board, would probably be in excess of $300. And a lot of people see an older fridge and they just decide that they're going to go through and they're going to just buy another one. Well, this one's already out in the garage. We already bought a brand new LG, which I'm really happy with. In this particular case, I'm just going to go through and try and fix this board. And if I can't fix it with this capacitor, then we're just going to go through and I'll probably buy another board, because $150, or in this case $4, is a lot better than just not having a refrigerator and then paying at least $50 to have it disposed of. So there's only two wires, or leads I should say. These are basically tied in parallel. So all I'm going to have to do is desolder these. And I wish I had some solder wick, but I don't. I gotta be honest with you, these things are kind of dreadful to use. They work, but they don't work well. Ironically, for this project, I went and bought a very, very nice solder station with all the desoldering goodies, and there was a back order on it. So I'm stuck using just a regular Radio Shack model. I don't even think it's 30 watts. It runs kind of cold for my taste, but this is such a small job that I'm just going to make it work. Waiting for the solder iron to heat up. I do have this little toy, and it's called a Huntron tracker. They're kind of expensive. Even used, they're still probably around $300 or more. I see some washout, but you can see this line. This is what a capacitor looks like if there's no problem, because it's basically charging and discharging. But for a different type of, say a straight wire, or not connected at all, it will look something more like this, just a straight line. So a capacitor, a non-linear device, is the only thing that you're going to see that's going to have some type of circle effect, other than maybe an inductor. But that's something altogether different. The different sizes in capacitors have different values. So this is a little bit smaller capacitor. And you can see the line is almost straight up and down, but it is still a circle. This is a smaller capacitor, and depending on the farad, this is the new one that I'm going to replace. 47 microfarad, 400 volts. Here's the board after it's been repaired. I have the new capacitors inside. These two big guys right here. I also tested those capacitors. And this one, which is not swollen, was fine. And this one, that is swollen, was open. As in, it might as well not even have been there. So, we're going to put this circuit board back into the refrigerator and cross our fingers and hope there are no other issues. Okay, lo and behold, yes, that is a working refrigerator. So the repair I did with the capacitor definitely helped. There is one thing, this display was not working. This is a separate thing altogether. So if I close this, and I open it up, sometimes I see a delay. And the thing about, you wouldn't have a delay going the entire time, or the display going. You wouldn't have the display going the entire time. This, see this? It got gummed up and it's all sticky. It's not supposed to be so slow like that. So, I know what this is. I know why it's doing this. I can feel kind of some gunk inside here. I don't think that they put that delay in there on purpose. Nonetheless, I'm going to leave it for right now. Power supply is fixed, so we actually can cool this off. I'm going to let it run for 24 hours and make sure that there's no unforeseen issues. But yeah, troubleshooting. In this case, it's two separate issues.